Hi, I'm Tom Morgan, Microsoft MVP and Community Reporter for Microsoft Ignite 2019. I'm joined today by Jace Moreno, Customer Success Lead for Microsoft Teams. Jace, it's great to have you here with me. What are customers telling you about how Teams is changing, what they're doing and how they're working?
Yeah, it's a great question. You know, what's been really fun in this role is when I'm working with customers across the board in different roles, right? Not just IT, not just the developers, but even the end users and organizations and the business leads. And when those light bulbs go off and they realize this is the moment where this is no longer just chat, meetings, and collab. This is actually how do we take these workplace tools that we love, regardless of who built them, and bring them together better. And so we've seen a bunch of great scenarios. One example that I'll share with you that I've been getting a lot of interest in is onboarding. And when I say onboarding, I think about this in multiple perspectives, as do our customers, as you can imagine. One of them is bringing on new hires to an organization. How do we simplify that process? Because it can be a nightmare for many. The other is how do we bring new people onto Teams for the first time? And what does that experience look like? How do we create templates and consistent and familiar experiences? And then how do we recreate new projects inside of Teams? And those simple three areas seem to get a lot of interest right now from customers, for a variety of different reasons, but I'd say the final point right there is it's reducing a lot of the support and reactive nature of a lot of departments and organizations, and how do they become more service-oriented parts of the business, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. And how do organizations get started, or how do they move past that kind of, okay, I've done it for chat, I've got chat and meetings, that's what I'm using Teams for, but they haven't got over the hump, right? Or maybe they're just looking at Teams, they're coming from somewhere else, they're coming from Skype for Business. How do they begin? How do they start? Where do they go?
So selfishly, I got some thoughts here, and look, I don't want to naively think that everybody's going to jump to the more advanced, but to the point I just made, it's when organizations start thinking about it as just a replacement for Skype for Business and just chat and meetings, and really look at how you can transform business processes, how you can automate manual tasks. One thing I selfishly look at are templates that we have available in Teams. So when I jump into Teams on day one, and back to that onboarding that I mentioned, how do I create this consistent, familiar experience where I don't just jump into Teams and it's empty? Instead, I've got preset teams with preset channels with the apps that I need to get my work done and the people there as part of my project group. One other thing I'll say is if you haven't checked out Teams app templates, we also have some great templates that are based on real use case scenarios from customers. But one of the coolest use cases I've seen is where customers are taking our frequently asked questions template and they're just plugging it into existing resources, whether they're externally built and widely available on the web, or internal change management and adoption. But those are becoming these point of contacts for users on day one when they roll out Teams. So you can just leverage this existing content.
Yeah, that's interesting. So they're not coming into like a blank slate, they're coming into a familiar world. Yeah. So how can things go wrong? Like, what should people be looking out for if they go down this journey?
For sure. Look, the most common question that comes up all the time is governance, right? And that can mean a million different things to a million different organizations. But from my perspective, looking at all things apps and Teams, and how do you bring together all of these solutions, what has been really powerful is hearing from customers is how open our platform is right now. We've got integrations like Cisco WebEx and Zoom and Salesforce, and a lot of these solutions that are frankly competitive. And the beauty is a lot of them say, hey, what happens is we start bringing these solutions together in Teams, and then sometimes it'll actually reduce our shadow IT across the organization. However, back to your question, where things can go wrong is that also needs some governance around it, because we also enable things like Power Apps. And if you let everybody in an organization create a Power App, I recognize that might not be what IT is looking for in terms of their governance policies that they have for the organization. So I think very much thinking about your culture and
we've got like behind us there's like half a dozen of like metal objects being wheeled past us. So sorry, carry on.
Welcome to Ignite. But how do you think beyond, I guess, those simple scenarios and really think about, okay, what is going to work best for our culture in the context of what we are trying to achieve? And I think it always comes down to that. What are these scenarios that we want to achieve? And how do we best govern our people? And we've got a bunch of great resources online to help with this, but that is often where I see the pitfall, right, is around that governance component.
Awesome, yeah, it's a really important thing to look out for. And so what's your kind of one thing? Like, what if organizations, they're here, maybe they're at Ignite, and that's the thing that's kind of finally push them over the edge. Yep, we've got to get on this bandwagon, we've got to move our stuff over, we're coming over from a third party or another platform. What's the one thing they can do to get in the right direction, to get aligned?
I think for the first time ever, we've really enabled your ability to bring all of your solutions into one single place, right? And it's, again, it's more than just chat and meetings. It's how do I take my workplace tools and not only integrate them for integration's sake, but bring them together in a way that makes them more valuable. So my people can reduce that 20% of time that they spend searching for information, the 30% of time they spend managing email, and frankly just get things done easier so I can focus on what's most important at work, which is my job. And so on that note, my ask to customers would be to loosen up the reins a little bit. A lot of organizations want to lock down using applications inside of teams, and frankly, I understand it and I get it, but you'd be really surprised what your people can achieve when you open it up a bit and give them an opportunity to actually solve some of these challenges in your organization themselves.
Absolutely. Give some kind of reins to your users. Let's see what they can do and let them. Yeah. Awesome. Jace, thanks so much for your time. It's been really good. Thank you.
It's my pleasure. Thanks, guys.